Hello and welcome to Get Noticed and Increase Your Influence 7 Contact Hacks That Actually Work. My name is Aidan Crawford and I am the owner of Short Circuit Media. Welcome to the presentation. Today is going to be a lot of fun. First, let's start with who I am. My name is Aidan Crawford and I am the owner of Short Circuit Media. Many of you may have seen me around at various NSA conventions over the last 7 or 8 years. I've had a booth at every summer convention and most of the winter ones. I'm usually also up at Cigar Peg most nights, and I'm man about town at these conventions. What I do is I offer marketing as a managed service to consultants, speakers, and trainers. And what I do is I come in and I work with speakers and I help them align their marketing with their business goals. So what I do is I help you understand. I take the time to understand your business. Then I help develop the strategies to get you in front of your ideal clients. And then I have a little army of worker bees who will come in and write your blog, manage your website, write news releases, and do all sorts of things based on the strategies we come up with to get you noticed by clients. So that's what I do. And if you want to know more about what I do, you can always visit me at shortcircuitmedia.com, and you can go over all the different services that I have there if that is of any interest to you. But today is not about me selling myself. Today is about me helping you guys. So that is the proposition for this afternoon. This is an all killer, no filler presentation. If you wait to the very end, there is no deal. So you may be familiar with the whole, hey, if you wait to the end, there will be a special, and that special will be on something that nobody ever pays full price for anyway. That is not what's going to happen today. I'm going to give you the 7 hacks that are going to help your business grow exponentially by using content you already have. So the way I structured today's presentation is that this is content hacks in 4 parts. So we're going to focus on both paid and unpaid options to get your message out, as well as some content marketing hacks that'll keep your content flowing. Because what's really important for people who basically their business is built on their knowledge and expertise is to keep that knowledge and expertise out there and keep people aware that you have it. So we're going to talk about how to source your content to make it a little bit easier to create it. Then we're going to talk about how to simply create your content so you're not just looking at a blank page. I've got a couple of plugins that are paid plugins, and there's free versions of them too, that will help your content recirculate in social media and around the web. And then I'm going to talk about, and this is always the big one, it's been very popular, LinkedIn's killer ad feature that nobody seems to be using, and for a very small investment can really get you in front of your ideal clients and help you get noticed. So let me just start off with your content and let us know that, when you have great content, it makes your site trusted as a resource, and you do this by blogging regularly. It helps you with search engines, it helps you with prospects. If you've ever gone to a website and it's by a speaker, maybe it's a competitor, maybe it's a friend or colleague, and you look at their website and they have, at the bottom of the page it says copyright 2013. The last blog post they have is from 2014. They only have 3 blog posts, and basically the site looks like a ghost site on the web. If a prospect comes to your website and it doesn't have constantly fresh content, one of the first questions they're going to ask is, are you still in business? So it is a part of your job is to make sure that the content on your website is always up to date and that you're regularly putting new content on there to at least show that there's some sort of action. So the blog is good for SEO, and it will build credibility within your market simply because you are creating content on a regular basis. Now, your website is the very first introduction many of your prospects will ever have to your business. And there's 2 ways to create content. Where do you get your content? The hard way is to create everything from scratch. That's where you come in and you open up a page on Google Docs or Microsoft Word. You look at this big blank page and you go, what the hell am I going to write today? So that's what you want to avoid, because there's nothing more difficult and nothing that, well, may not be difficult, but it is a time waster if you're starting every blog post from scratch and you have no idea what you're going to do. Now, the easy way to get content for your website is to curate content on social media, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Add to the discussion, cannibalize your existing books, and transcribe your presentations. Now, this is important because these are you as a subject matter expert, you have a lot of content in your head. And you're also probably sending a lot of that content out into the world anyway. So what I propose and what I advocate is recycling that content. Now, when we're talking about just getting content as a source and avoiding looking at that blank page, the first hack I'm going to tell you is about Google Alerts. Now, most of you, if not all of you, probably have a Google Alert set up for your name, which is fine. You get a notification whenever you're mentioned in the news. But Google is the greatest source for content you're going to find. So what I recommend is setting up alerts for terms that would be of interest to your clients. So for me, that's content marketing, SEO hacks, online tools, and then what Google does, it'll send you those articles as either as they're published or on a daily basis or as a weekly basis, however you want them to be scheduled. You can drive an awful lot of content. Now you might be thinking this is overwhelming, but it's not really. You're getting, let's say you get 50 or 60 articles, you're just looking at the titles going, which ones would my clients find interesting? Now, why do you care that your clients are going to find these interesting? Well, the second hack that I'm going to talk about is called bufferapp.com. Now, this is a paid service. I believe it's $10 a month. And what it does is it connects to all your social media channels. And that's LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and they recently added Instagram. So what it does is it automatically schedules tweets and shares that you add to a queue. So here's the way I work it. So I've set Google Alerts to find articles, and they send me articles, and I've got this whole pile of articles that Google sends me every week. On a Monday morning, I can sit down with my coffee or my breakfast, and I can go through those articles, and I can buffer them out. So I can say, there's 50 articles, here they are. I fill my buffer filled with these 50 articles. Buffer then schedules those articles to be tweeted out on my Facebook business page, my LinkedIn account, my Twitter account throughout the week. So if you do nothing else, if you just sign up for Buffer app and Google Alerts, you can actually start looking 100% more active on all your social media channels without actually wasting all your time on social media channels. Now, another hack that I'm going to talk about is using those alerts as sources for your content. So if you're right now writing a blog and you're thinking, well, how am I going to create this content twice a week? You have to think, well, I can either start from scratch or I can be inspired by other content. So when I talk to a client, the first thing I ask them is, do you have any books? And do you have any transcriptions from your speeches? Because for a 45-minute transcription from a speech can generally add up to 4 or 5 different blog posts if you're a content-heavy speaker. If you've got books, and let's say you published a book last year, 99.99% of the people on this planet are not going to buy your book. So it's been out there, you've sold it, you've promoted it as much as you can. What you do now then is start taking parts from that book and rewriting them. So just give them a slight rewrite. So it's not a copy and paste, it is a slight rewrite. So you copy a bit of the book onto a Word document and then just kind of blogify it. That's the term I use. Now, the third thing that you can do is use your Google Alerts to inspire your content. So let's say you get one of those articles, and twice a week, what you would do is you compile your list of ideas that prospects would be interested. They're on Google Alerts. You're getting them already. You share them through Buffer app and Hootsuite. You can create an article around one of those alerts that you're sent each week. Now, the way I do it, and the way I've told clients to do it, is you quote heavily from the original, you link back to the original post, and then you add your 2 cents. It's very easy to get between 300 and 500 words just using this technique. There's an added bonus because when you do this, Google actually appreciates that you're linking to high value content outside of your blog. So it's actually signaling to Google that you're not completely promotional and self promotional and that you are actually adding some value and contributing to the discussion. So this is actually a formula that helps you create content and can possibly help with your search engine optimization process. Number 4, the newsletter hack. Now, most of us have had newsletters. The open rates for newsletters are crashing. I'm aware of that, and I think everybody's aware of that. We get so many emails in our inboxes every day that it's hard to keep up with newsletters. But that doesn't mean they're not important. If you're still getting 10 or 15% of the people that you're on your list opening your newsletter every month, that's 10 or 15% more than if you don't send it out. So I still encourage you to send the newsletter. It is diminishing returns at this point, but there's an easy way to create the newsletter so they don't eat up all your time. When I first started in working with speakers, I worked for a client as his marketing director, full-time marketing director. And when I came on board, he was spending 2 days a month creating his newsletter. He would sit down and he would literally, from scratch, come up with a newsletter to send to his subscribers. Now, when you think about how much you get paid an hour as a speaker, and even if you amortize that over the month, because obviously you're not just getting paid for the time you're on the stage, that was 2 days out of his month that he wasn't able to prospect, he wasn't able to make calls, he wasn't able to drum up business. He was working on his newsletter. That is a terrible waste of his time. So what we do, and what we did then, and what I do now for all my clients, and what I encourage my clients to do, is use the blog posts that they write throughout the month. And remember, I just showed you how to do it quickly and easily. There's no reason why you can't create 4 blog posts a month using the quote, link back, and add your 2 cents model. Use those 4 blog posts, add a little introduction about a theme that you're talking about that month or you're interested in that month. And then if you're familiar with the term flyer wrap, and I come from the print industry originally, flyer wrap is that free newspaper that lands on your door every Friday. So it's really just a newspaper that's used to protect the flyers inside it. So all the flyers are wrapped up inside this newspaper. Use your newsletter like that newspaper. So you have your introduction, you have a partial piece of your first blog post. Below that, you have an advertisement for your book or an upcoming seminar or something. Below that, another piece of content that links back to your website. I always say, do not publish your full article on the newsletter. The reason being is you want to drive every action on your newsletter back to your website, because that's where your calls to action are. That's where people are more likely to go to the contact us button and open up the conversation. So drive them back to your website. Don't just put it all out there in your newsletter. Now, here's where we get to the good stuff. Now, if you're writing blog posts on a regular basis, and let's say Google doesn't love you as much as you want Google to love you. So you've written 5 blog posts, you write your 6th blog post, and that first blog post you've ever written slips onto page 2. Every blog post you write drives your older blog posts deeper and deeper into your site. If you are not getting the Google love that you want and expect, what's happening is that content is just basically disappearing into your website, never to be seen again. Last year, I actually came across a tool, a WordPress plugin called Revival Posts. Now, there's a free version and a paid version. And what it does is it recycles your evergreen content back into social media on your schedule. So if you've written, let's say you've written 40 or 50 blogs, and you can exclude the ones that are about Christmas and Hanukkah and all the holidays, New Year's. Take all those out. You can go, I want to exclude these ones. I don't need people seeing my New Year's message and schedule the rest of them to go out on once a day or twice a day. So your blogs are actually being recirculated. I do have a client in California. Many of you may know him, Ed Rigsby. He's got 1,500 articles on his website. So what he's got his blog going out as is every 4 hours, but it's still taking over a month to circulate through all his blog posts. And it's looking like he's getting lots of content out there all the time. It would almost look like, hey, what this is all. If you haven't seen that content before or seen a specific piece of evergreen content before, that content is new. So if you have great content, this Revival Post plugin will allow you to get that content out on a regular basis. Now, the free version only lets you connect to Facebook and Twitter. You can't control the scheduling of the posts. I believe it's just every 8 hours. It just sends them all out. And then and it doesn't allow you to have a featured image. The pro version does allow, it includes LinkedIn, allows the custom schedule. Let's say you don't want to send things over the weekend. This is one way that you can get it out there just Monday to Friday. I only want to send them out every 6 hours, so it goes out there 3 times a day, 4 times a day. My math is terrible. And those posts will go out with images. So I've done that for a couple of clients. My most recent client actually runs an online newspaper. So they have 500 or 600 articles. They started last summer. And we have this Revival post going. And we connected it to their Facebook page and their Twitter account. And almost overnight, the traffic to their website increased by 15%. Increased subscriptions to their Facebook business page, 10% last month. So that's good. So that's increasing. And this lets you grow traffic and bring traffic into your website that's independent from Google. So let's say you're not getting the love from Google you expect. This is a way to kind of get around that and use Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn as drivers of traffic. So you can easily increase your influence and show prospects your knowledge and your genius and your expertise. Tweet sheets. Now, this kind of goes with what I was saying before about keeping your content out there. Now, think about it. Right now, we've already talked about how the Revival post is going to be sending your articles out every 5 or 6 hours. Let's say it's every 6 hours. But then we've also talked about earlier how the first thing we talked about, which was the what's it called? The Buffer app, which is actually buffering out these articles that you've curated on a month every day, a few times a day. You think about it right now, without doing very much work at all, other than writing a blog post every couple days, are looking very, very active on social media. So it's looking like you're researching good topics and sharing them, great information, and then you're also sharing the content that you create on a regular basis. Tweet Sheets adds to that. So a tweet sheet is something that works with Hootsuite. So Hootsuite allows you to do a bulk upload of status updates. Now, I call these tweet sheets. A lot of people just use them to, schedule pictures and memes. But what I would suggest is you can go on a tweet sheet and you schedule 28 of them, so it's one per day, and you schedule a thought or a call to action with proper hashtags that will go to a specific landing page on your site. So for me, if I'm talking about, I've got a service that's specific to executives and executive branding. So I can do a tweet about executive branding, hashtag it properly for executives, and then link it to my executive landing page. So I do that I've got 28 of those on my tweet sheet. And then what I do is at the end of that 28 days, I go in and I just do a search and replace and change all the dates. So instead of being 05/22 for May 22nd, I just go 05/ replace with 06/. So then I've got June all set up as well. And that is a very easy way to do it. Now, there's a bonus for tweet sheets that, again, people aren't really aware of. And as far as speakers go, it's a very powerful tool. You can do this for speaking engagements. If you are doing a 45 or 50-minute speaking engagement, a keynote or a breakout, oftentimes the organizers will say, no selling from the stage. I don't want you selling from the stage. But with a tweet sheet, you can actually create, let's say you're speaking for 50 minutes, you can create, Hootsuite allows you to send one every 5 minutes, a tweet every 5 minutes through the bulk uploader. So you can actually create 10 tweets around your topic. So they're going out, they're properly hashtagged. At the end of your 10 tweets, you can have additional tweets and say, hey, if you enjoyed Aidan's presentation and you want him to come in to speak to your organization, click here or follow here, and send them to a landing page that you've created. Now you can also do what I've done, which is I've created a landing page for this presentation. So after this presentation, you can go to Short Circuit Media / Florida, and it will bring you to a page on my website, which will have all the resources I mentioned. So this is a way that you can do your tweet sheet and drive people back to your website who are in the audience and maybe prospective clients. That way, they're going to a page on your website and says, okay, here are the resources I mentioned. They're actually on this website. You can go there, you can get them, but while they're there, you have some CTAs if they want to engage you further. So that's two ways to use the tweet sheets that can really help your business. Now, paid advertising, this is the big one, and this is number 7. This is the content hacks, and it will get to LinkedIn in a minute. And really, Facebook changed their algorithm, and they made it really, really hard for businesses to get seen organically. Today, if you create content and share it to Facebook, you need to really boost it if you want people to see it. Now, my thinking is if you're going to spend 1 or 2 hours writing a blog, spend the $5 to get it seen by your ideal clients. And that's just the way it is. Things don't get seen on Facebook the way they used to get seen. Now, with Twitter, it's almost the same thing. I'll tell you, with Twitter, you can create an ad. And the ads on Twitter, I believe the minimum is $60 or $70. And you can target your ad so that it's only seen by people who are using hashtags, specific hashtags, or targets people who follow a specific handle. Now, I actually did an experiment with a Twitter ad about 4 years ago when they first started, and I did an ad that targeted anybody that followed at NSA Speakers, so anybody at the NSA. And within 24 hours, I had 2 clients. One of the clients hired me to build a website for him, and the other client became a retainer client, and he was a retainer client for 3 years. So the return on that $60 investment was, hundreds and hundreds of times the value of that $60 just by doing that ad. So and Facebook is actually very good, or Twitter is actually very good, because what they will do is they will actually suggest similar handles to the ones that you've chosen. So if you wanted to NSA speaker, it also suggested PSA UK for the Public Speaking Association in the UK and the CAPS Canada Association. So I can actually broaden who I want to see my ad and they'll be in the same wheelhouse. Now, LinkedIn for me is where all my clients are. I don't use Facebook for business. I've got a business page, but I do not bother my friends and family with my articles that I write. My personal page on Facebook is filled with pictures of my kids and my wife and memes and rock and roll. That's what I like. That's what's on there. So I focus most of my attention on LinkedIn and Twitter. With LinkedIn, these are some stats that I just pulled from LinkedIn, and they make a lot of sense. That 50% of buyers use LinkedIn making purchase decisions. B2B, that they use distributed content, and more than 1 million people are using LinkedIn's publisher platform with over 130,000 posts each week. Now, the publisher platform used to be an amazing tool when they first launched, because I would write a blog post on my website, also put it to LinkedIn as on the publishing platform, And every one of my connections on LinkedIn would get a notification in the notification bar that I wrote an article. And it wasn't that difficult to get, uh, 500 or 1,000 people seeing an article that I put on the LinkedIn publishing platform. That changed. People don't get a notification anymore. It just goes into your stream. I still encourage people to do it. If you write a blog on your website, put the blog also on the publishing platform on LinkedIn. Only because when they come to your LinkedIn profile, it will make it look fuller. When somebody goes to my my LinkedIn platform or my LinkedIn profile, they will see that I have over 30 articles published on LinkedIn. Um, and so it's still great that way. But when I publish a new one, if I get 25 or 30 people seeing it, I'm a little bit, it's not as exciting as getting 1,500. I've just lowered my expectations from that. But it's still valuable as far as when a prospect comes to your LinkedIn profile, you want it to be as robust as possible, and adding those articles there really does make it look that way. Now, here's the big one that everybody wants to hear about. It's the LinkedIn InMail campaign. So this one here is an amazing tool that I've come across on LinkedIn, where it's a specific advertising campaign where you can create an email blast basically and target people on LinkedIn who don't have to be your connections but fit a number of criteria. So they fit this. They fit the criteria. You send the custom message out to them, and then drive people back to a landing page. It costs as little as 40 cents a send, and you don't need to have a paid account to run the ads. Now, in my experience, since I've been doing this back in October, I've seen open rates as high as 70%. And if you think about it, typical emails to your subscribers can be 25% if you're having a really, really good day. For me, it would seem that getting a message through LinkedIn InMail still has a bit of a novelty that people are willing to open it and take a look at it. So this is something that every speaker should be considering, because if you think about it, you can target people that just work in HR, and we're going to just see the filtering here. So this is a sample screen that you would find on the LinkedIn campaign, and I chose New York. And you can see in the top right corner, 8 million plus LinkedIn members. So in New York. Now I can filter that down by specific companies, the company size, the job title. Remember, if you're a speaker who needs to get into an association, you can look for people that are, VPs. You can look for the industry being association industry. If there's another industry that you've got a specialty in, you can target that. HR people. You can go by seniority. You can go by their age, their gender, groups they belong to on LinkedIn. So this can help you again. What I was able to do was I did a program where I targeted attorneys or no, VPs, sorry, it was VPs in Toronto for my executive branding program. And that's the one where I had a 70% open rate. And what happened was I believe there was 30,000 people in Toronto that are VPs or higher. That's on their job title, 30,000 of them. And I was able to filter this down and get my sample size down to 500. So I got it down to the 500 that I wanted. And then and again, it was just playing with these different filters. So the job titles, the years of experience, the industries they worked in, and I was able to get it down to 500. I created the email I wanted to go out, and then I set my budget of $100, and it was going to cost me 37 cents a send. Basically, for $100, 230 people, I believe, got my email, and and again, it was an open rate of 70%. I had 4 or 5 people contact me. These are good. It's a great way to reach my ideal client in that specific thing. And I sent them back to a targeted landing page. This is the killer app as far as I'm concerned on LinkedIn, because people keep it up to date. They keep their job titles, their companies, it's all there. And this information, it's aggregated. What you do not get is you don't get a list of the people who opened your email. You will just get It went out to 230 people, 180 of them opened it, and then the 4 people that actually contacted you, that they contacted you. This tool, apparently, you will only get one sponsored in-mail every 6 months. That's what I've heard from LinkedIn. That's why we're not overwhelmed with these sponsored in-mails. So when you get off this call, it might be wise to just go to LinkedIn, go to the top corner where it says advertising, click on it, and go through the sponsored in-mail. Or give me a call and I'll talk you through it. It's not a big deal. And that's it. That is your 7 content marketing hacks. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want additional resources, you can go to shortcircuitmedia.com/Florida. And I lied at the beginning when I said there wasn't any special offer. If you made it this far, you can have access to my online course, DIY Marketing for Speakers, Trainers, and Consultants, absolutely free. You'll just go to the website, shortcircuitmedia.com/Florida, click on the link and use the promo code Florida, and that will get you the DIY marketing course for free. So I hope you enjoyed it. My name is Aidan Crawford. Everybody gets 15 minutes. If you want my time, you can give me a call, send me an email, we'll set something up. And that's it.